It is said that the Conqueror's Arena is the anvil of heroes, the crucible in whose fires are forged champions of legend, and a proving ground for great warriors looking to test their mettle against those made of a similar steel. Welcome back everyone, my name is Jordan, also known as JMonster, and today I have a special treat for you. It is a 4-man FFA on scored resolution played on the Conqueror's Arena map, another battle map created for the mod by Captain Rex Gervais. This match is going to pit a scantily clad force of Philothrim who have eschewed the traditional heavy infantry corps against the haughty Sindar Chads of Doriath, the unwashed hordes of Orcish peasants swarming forth from Tolim Gaurhoth, and an army of grim-bearded, totally not Viking vagabonds from the woods of Brethil. Haladin on the field in force today, probably after getting lost on their way to pummel some skinny monk nerds at Lindisfarne, and they're looking to hew the necks of Orc and Eldar alike just to make the trip worthwhile. So sit back, grab yourself a shank of lamb and a stein of mead, offer a prayer of thanks to Iluvatar for another spectacle of glorious ultraviolence for our momentary amusement, and let's dive headfirst into the mosh pit. And so, let's take a look at my army here. I've gone for something a little bit different with my Phallus build this time. With all the new units, with all the new sort of mechanics, I guess. I've been looking for ways to, I guess, kind of reinvent the way that factions play, and so the Philothrim generally tend to lean pretty heavily into their heavy infantry corps, which isn't something that I necessarily want to be the case all the time. I want there to be some additional options in different game modes and different maps, etc., where this kind of build can really shine. So with that in mind, I've brought a full light and medium infantry build. I've also got a really strong core of cavalry. I've got 3 units here of the Scouts of Eglarest, and I've got 2 Warriors of Eglarest, and I've also got our legendary company, the Mariners of Earendil, who are going to be important as my general's bodyguard for keeping everybody in line, as my light and medium infantry tend to be a little bit lower tier. I've also got 2 units of the Rangers of Brithambar. I've got 2 or 3, I think, Spear Host of Brithambar detachments. I've got some Seafarers of Brithambar. Now, this is really the core of my infantry force. I've got 4 upgraded and chevroned Seafarers of Brithambar, which is absolutely something you can afford if you decide to go full light infantry and still maintain a lot of numbers and versatility. In addition to that, I've also got 3 Marines of Brithambar, if I can find them. Yes, indeed, here they are. I've got 3 Marines of Brithambar who are similarly done up with a chevron and an attack upgrade. So I've got spears. I've also got some hard-to-target javelins, as the Marines of Brithambar are a harassment jav. I've got 2 units of the Marines of Eglarest, because you never know, in a 4-person FFA, there's going to be tons of targets for units like this. Bodyguards, monsters, you name it, you're going to have a chance to use them. And then afterwards, I also have a couple of spears that I can use to run around and protect my more important units, like my Marines of Brithambar or my Seafarers of Brithambar. But yeah, that's going to do for my army here. Kinda interesting, and I was really excited to try it out. So let's move on now to my closest opponent, and that is going to be the army of the Haladin. Nearest to myself, we have the army of Captain Gervais, who is, of course, playing as the Haladin. He's got some Vaultrider Wain Riders here. I think he's only got 1 unit of them. They're the skirmish-oriented chariot for the Haladin. They currently don't have their horses textured properly, and neither is their chariot. I'm sure you've noticed that. We are going to work on that, but the unit itself is quite functional. So it's a nice little range support unit, but it's also pretty good against cavalry. And the other chariot that the Haladin will eventually receive is sort of the opposite of that, more focused on CQB and hunting down infantry than it is at dealing with mounted opponents. Rex has also brought some Huskarlar here. I think he's got 3 of them in total. I could be wrong about that. He's also got at least 2 units of the Ulfadin Berserkers, another unit of Huskarlar there. Some Daurwartha of Ethel Brandir, which is the generic general's bodyguard choice for the Haladin. Really nice axe unit. Also has a hard target javelin that they can toss before engaging in close quarters. Another one of the Ulfadin here. Some Swear-to-Bro there. I think that's the 3rd Huskarlar there. Yes, indeed. So we do have a core of kind of axe-throwing units. Some Skaldmare of Halath here as well. Wow. I was going to call them the Legendary Company, but it came out as Regenary Company because Regiment of Renown. Anyway. Their purpose is to hunt down monsters, but they are also armor-piercing, so that does give you some options there in terms of, when you want to bring this unit. They are sort of a more specialized and less powerful in CQB version of the Ulfodin Berserkers just behind them. And don't read too much into that. It's not a political statement. This unit needs to be used for a specific purpose kind of thing, and I wanted them. It just happened to end up being this unit. Over here, Ulfodin, more Ulfodin, Brandia right there, and I think he's got another 2 units of the Swear-to-Brother, who are an Inspire unit. They make a really nice block of sort of a center line for the Haladin, and that's where you're going to kind of work with your mobility and your axe-throwing units around. So I wouldn't say that they're essential, but I'd say that they're a very important unit for a lot of builds. In addition to, I know he's got at least 2 units of the Valtreid Dragoons. Maybe 2. I know he's got 1. Oh, another Valtreid chariot over here as well, so maybe he's only got the 1 Dragoon, but he does have 2 chariots on the field. They can be a big problem if they charge into the rear. He's also got some Rigswear that are coming out of the woodwork here. I think he's got more units of them over here as well. So probably about 2 units of Rigswear, a lot of mid-range kind of punch, which is really good for this scored resolution battle, because that's a great way to get kills really, really quickly, and you can use them on some super high value stuff that's going to serve you well moving into the end game. Moving on over here now, we have the army of Tolin Gaurhoth being commanded by Stewie. I really never get tired of saying that name. I love it. Really throw myself into it. He's got some Hishbukraz warband and kind of an interesting approach here. This is a no cavalry Tolin Gaurhoth army, so we'll see how that works out for him. He's got some Blood Drinkers mixed in there with a warband. Gijek Skeda is chosen. Wolfguard over here as well, mixed in with some Howlers. There's some Trappers here on the second line. Ash Priest, because of course. More Trappers here, and Wolfguard, I think, forming up this part of his line. Some Long Fangs as well. More Howlers, more Wolfguard, Warband, Blood Drinkers, and Chosen. So a really, really scary infantry force. A lot of numbers here, but of course it's quality kills that matter in this game. So even if you get the most kills from preying on Tolin Gaurhoth, you're not necessarily going to get the most quality kills. So it really does depend on what you go after. And then the final army here, in this 4-person FFA, we have the Guarded Realm of Doriath being played by Lord of Belegost. He's got, I think, 2 units of marksman, 1, 2, yeah, deployed on the other side there. Got some Kuthalim as well, armor-piercing arrows, Sword Host forming up his center. He's got Axe Guard out in front of them. And then he's got a third line composed of Warriors of Region, so you're going to see 3 of them there. Donathan Mablung, Tyr and Elias Dunn, seen a lot of them lately, and then 2 companies here of the Mounted Company of Region. And that is going to do for our army composition, so let's go ahead and jump into this. Hope you guys enjoy it. So my approach here has been to split my army, just try and go for just as many kills as I possibly can. I saw Doriath over there and I thought maybe he might do something similar, but seeing that my smaller force here is far in excess, overwhelmed and overmatched by the entire Doriath army, I decided to pull them back as well. I put my cavalry over here because you never know when you're going to need them. They're going to be useful for screening my retreat. As you can see, some of the Mounted Company of Region moving forward, threatening my rear as I run away. Over here, I'm going to take the rest of my army, and I'm going to go and try and fight with the Haladin. Saw some Valtreid Dragoons pop up over here. Going to pop off a volley or 2 into the rear of them. Kill 1 or 2, but they were already moving and already moving out of my range, so I wasn't able to really do much damage to them. So I'm going to continue moving forward, maintain the momentum. This is all about speed. Like I said earlier, we have a 15-minute timer on this game, which is extremely tight. So if you want to get kills and you want to get in and actually like play in this game, you've got to be quick about it. So got my cavalry over here, looking for some opportunities for maybe some rear charges, things like that, but I don't want to get anywhere near the Ulfodin. If they countercharge my cavalry, I'm going to lose them really, really quickly. Huskarlar over here in support as well, 2 companies of. And then I can see Tolin Gaurhoth kind of pushing the issue here, really trying to get a piece of the Haladin. Valtreid Dragoons getting some nice kills here, charging into the rear of Wolfguard. Chariot support as well. Chariots so far doing great for themselves, but need to be aware they can rout, so if they get overwhelmed and surrounded, there's really no way for them to get out because they don't have the mass to do it. And yeah, they can very quickly rout, and you can lose a lot of that, and that's a lot of value there. It's an 1100 cost unit. I'm sure Stewart of Dale would love to have that in his piggy bank moving into the end game. Rigswear here, fighting alongside the Brandir, trying to blunt this advance here of the first wave of Tolin Gaurhoth infantry. Darawarda being denied their projectile by a charge from the Wolfguard. Another unit of Wolf Guard here moving in with support from the Scar High Trappers up on the hill. And the Paladin are not having a good time. Those Thargellion Huskarlar are actually going to break almost immediately. No idea how that happened, but damn was that painful for poor Rex early on in the game. Gijek Sketa's Wolf Guard starting to come under pressure from the second line of Huskarlar, looking to avenge the fall of their brothers here, but things aren't looking good for the Paladin. Over here, I got my Marines of Berthambar out in front. Managed to isolate some Well-Tried Dragoons. We've also got their chariots in there as well. I'm using my my Spear Host here, my Spear Host Berthambar, to support them against both the Well-Triders and the chariots, who have somehow managed to disengage without taking any kills. Sucks for me, but I'm going to use my Harassment Javelins here to prey upon them, prey upon the Swear-to-Brother, and to pop some shots into the Skaldmare as well, try and take some of the HP away from them. Very valuable units over here. Some Ulfadin of Ethelbrandir moving in support, and I definitely need to be aware of that. But they're going to be moving in kind of into a firing range. These Huskarlar trying to put a little bit of pressure on me from the front, but just that sheer volume of fire is going to be enough to be so disruptive that they're not really going to be able to do anything, and a lot of them are going to lie dead on the field there. Over here, have a whole bunch of units in reserve, but I'm doing pretty well with what I've brought to play so far. Ooh, no, chariots charging into the front of my Spear Host. Off the charge, it's going to hurt. Once they stop and start to get like bogged down, that's why we have the multiple layers here of like melee cavalry and spearmen and stuff in there. This is not going to be a place where those chariots want to be. And see, they're going to try and get out, but it's just not easy because they don't have the mass to do it. We're very close to routing them there. I think we managed to take down, 2 or 3 models from this chariot. These guys are almost certainly, completely boned. And the other Well-Triders will manage to escape so far. But yeah, we are going to gobble up a bunch of those chariots there. It really does suck for poor Rex. That's some nice quality kills for us. So seeing this, I think I start to maybe think about picking on Doriath, but I don't think the Doriath player realizes just kind of the situation that he's in. Everyone else is fighting, everyone else is getting kills. This isn't your typical FFA. This is not your dad's FFA. This is a scored resolution battle, and you need to be in the fray. You need to be actively hunting out kills. He's doing that with his cavalry now, but it seems more like he's playing this like a typical FFA, but this is definitely not the case. Over here on the front lines, Huskarlar are doing their best alongside the Swear-to-Brother to stem the tide of Tolin Gaudhawk. There's just so many of them. Over here, the Ulfadin on their last legs, down to 19. The Rigswear, not bad at fighting chaff like this. Like, this is exactly where you'd want them to be. There are some Wolf Guard mixed in there as well. Well-Tried Dragoons getting pelted with throwing axes by these units of Long Fangs here. Well-Tried Wainriders trying to, push their way through here, but they are going to lose a chariot in the attempt. Because, again, this is not what these things are for. You don't want to get them into close quarters with infantry unless you're able to do it quickly and charge into the rear and then very rapidly disengage. Because otherwise, this is the kind of thing that's going to happen. You might end up losing another chariot there for his troubles. And seeing this opportunity and seeing the Well-Tried Dragoons being repulsed by the Long Fangs, I am going to move in now with my scouts, bring them around here, and throw them at those Well-Triders, try and gobble them up before Rex has a chance to really see what's going on here. And then over here we've managed to basically repulse the House of Haleth. Poor Rex finding himself the meat in the sandwich here. Not a whole lot that he can do. Some more javelins coming in from my Spear Host Berthambar, claiming maybe 1 or 2 of the Swear-to-Brother. They're not going to feel that too much. It's not an armor-piercing javelin or nothing like that. Over here, Well-Tried Wainriders managing to rout off some of the mounted company here from Belegost. That's just going to make my life a little bit easier. And I can see these melee cavalry charging into the front here. And, normally against mace or axe units, this is actually not a bad thing to do with melee cavalry because their base damage is generally high enough to get through the meager melee defense of those units. However, sword units are not going to care, and I also have my Marines of Aglarist there in support. Now I'm trying to use the range of these units to get in there, but I wasn't really paying attention, so now they're starting to get pelted, both by Tirin Danen and with the Kuthalim as well. You see those green armor-piercing arrows going off, claiming some of my Marines of Aglarest. Over here, we're going to manage to break the mounted company, get a few more kills to our name, and they're going to be forced to flee over this way. The Gijek Sketa is chosen, getting into some of these routing mounted company of Region. They're going to have a field day with that. Those units are reasonably expensive at about 800, 900, so that's going to be nice things for Stewart to put into his piggy bank. Take that to the bank and save it for later. Ooh, nasty. Ash Priest definitely on the field here. tossing into those Wind Riders. Oh yeah, this is be a very, very likely set of circumstances where these Welsh Riders will not come back. If they take another shot from these guys, ooh yeah, that's so nasty. They're gonna cook one of those models there, and you don't want to bring them into close quarters. I mean, I can understand it. The Welsh Rider Wind Riders can actually do pretty well in close quarters if you get the right engagements. Again, charging in from the rear and the flank. So maybe you got a little bit power drunk there. I don't know why you'd try to charge in the Ash Priest, but that was definitely a mistake, and it is going to cost him there some very expensive models. Paladin's starting to bring it back a little bit with the influx of some reinforcements, but things are not looking so great for them over here on the front line. Sweater Brother being swiftly overwhelmed by a wave attack here from the Marines of Brathanbar. A little bit of a lapse of micro on my part here, and they're getting picked on by those Huskarlar here, getting some easy value. I am going to see it though, and I'm going to send them forward to charge into those units. Skaldmare, they're going to just try and do something. At this point, honestly, Rex is kind of doomed here. He's encircled on 3 sides. Might as well use the ammunition, but looks like maybe they're going to go after my Warriors and make the rest instead, which is honestly a good pick. A lot more expensive unit than the Marines, so you're going to get more value off of killing them. Marines, or Mariners rather, at Endil. Charging forward over here. Scarhide Trapper is about to get attacked from the rear, along with the Sweater Brother of Thargelion. Oh no, the Ash Priest now turning their attention to my Mariners and making them suffer their tender mercies as they toss those nasty sling bolts into them. I was actually going to immolate quite a lot of my Mariners of Arendil. Another micro lapse here. Hopefully we can get them in to the Scarhide Trappers and so forth in time. Over here, though, moved a little bit too far forward. Flew far too close to the sun. And now Doriath is overwhelming my Marines of Eglaris. So, just mistakes and disaster all around. Rangers of the Girdle getting in behind me, and I got nothing left. I had like this little token force here to keep Doriath from completely running me over. They're going to be able to do that for a while, but I do still have an ace in the hole, right? I've got my Corps of Light Infantry. I got all my Seafarers here. I got 4 units of them. They're just kind of sitting here, chilling back, and just doing their own thing. I brought forward my Rangers of Brathanbar, and I'm just firing indiscriminately into this blob. There's really no way to miss, and there's no way to not get something that is valuable to me. Got Ulfadin in there, Huskarlar fighting against a big old blob at holding down hot infantry. This is just prime target for my light rangers. Let's see what my cavalry's up to. Ah, yes, I brought them forward here, and they're just mowing the grass, really. Just blender lording their way through these Scarhide Longfangs. Again, low melee defense units. They can suffer to charges from the front, even from melee cavalry. And then you are more than welcome to leave melee cavalry in the close quarters engagement with units like this. Mid-tier units, especially higher-end melee cavalry like the Scouts of Eglarest, they can do very well. I mean, this is exactly, I've said this a whole bunch of times, but I haven't exactly been able to show it, but you can use melee cavalry as a mobile infantry sort of reserve. Mobile infantry, I'm thinking about Gundams all of a sudden. But yeah, so you can use them as a mobile infantry reserve, and they can just chew through lower end units like this, especially the orcs with their low MD. Now we're going to be able to push through them, get into some of these Hushpukraz units, and Stewie is looking like he's starting to run out of steam a little bit here. I just have a nice surround here, but I am kind of punishing both players at once with my Rangers of Brathanbar. Managed to break through the small unit here of Ulfadin that was holding up my troops, but now Doriath has arrived, and it's not looking great for me. They've shattered my Eglaris spearmen here. They're basically all dead. They held the line, though. That's kind of what we needed them to do. Now my Warriors of Eglarest are going to be charged on from the rear and pinned basically on 2 sides of a full surround here. Not good for them. They don't like it. They're going to start to question their life choices and maybe begin to flee. Although with the presence of my Mariners of Arendil and my General, they are at least going to be able to stand their ground for a little while. And now we've managed to break through with our cavalry. This is kind of the moment of truth, really, because there's nothing back here to stop me from just mowing down these orcs like grass and just vastly inflating my kill score. So let's go ahead and turn things up a little bit here. And while all this is happening, I'm also bringing some reinforcements. Now I thought would be a good time to engage my Seafarers of Brathanbar. So 2 units are going to ford the river here, and another 2 are going to move up to try and stabilize things here. So I've got my General and my Warriors of Eglarest here, basically a lost cause. It'd be hard for me to get in there and like stop Doriath, especially with all the stuff that they have over here. But I do still have my Seafarers of Brathanbar. I've brought them around this way. I've got my Oh, my Rangers. Yeah, my Rangers are definitely still over here. And I can use them as some makeshift kind of melee units. And I've also got a second group of them, or a third group rather, moving across the river. So I'm sort of launching a three-pronged assault right now, just to get all of the kills that I could possibly accrue. And it's gonna succeed in pushing Doriath back temporarily as he seeks a better position. Seafarers here. Gonna charge in some of these Axe Guard. It's not gonna be fun for them, but they will still do reasonably well, especially with the attack upgrade and the Chevron. They get up to about 10 or so attack, which is more than enough to be scary for even higher end units like the Axe Guard of Raytheon. Normally, units like the Seafarers of Brathambar are about getting cost-efficient trades, and that is very much true here. I'm going to be able to trade relatively well with a lot of these Axe Guard, and I'm going to move them in here to sort of double up on this line in order to minimize the amount of damage those Rangers of the Girdle up there on the hill can do to me. But that being said, they are going to be able to fire pretty well indiscriminately into my center, and that is going to be a problem for me, of course. That being said, oh, there goes Belagos General. He is kicking my can on the other side there, but some strategic rear charges here are going to bear fruit, and we're actually starting to make a big difference here. So we've blendered our way through a lot of that Tolkien Gauthoth infantry. You can see the rest of Stewie's army now beginning to flee, and it's basically me and Doriath at this point, kind of vying for who can get the most kills in a short period of time here. And Doriath is a little bit behind because they hung back for so long and they got held up on a lot of my other units. Another rear charge here. There goes my general, hacked down by some Doriath axemen. That's not going to be fun. That's going to break my Mariners of Eärendil right there. And then I'm going to lose kind of my the anvil to my hammer, and I'm going to have to pull back with my Scouts of Eglarest. Over here, still a little bit of a Tolkien Gauthoth presence. Not much, though, but a little bit. And I'm preying upon them, hoping to get maybe some flank charges here into the Sword Host of Raytheon, avoid that sizable melee defense bonus, and just charge them in the rear, and that'll be really nice for my cavalry. Another rear charge here into the Axemen. That's going to hit them so hard that it's going to basically knock them out of this dimension. And they're going to almost immediately break there, especially with the loss of their general. It really sucks for the Doriath player, and that's going to be a lot of high-end kills for me. And now, finally, my Seafarers have managed to get around the river, and they're going to join the fight. Marksmen of Raytheon here, and some depleted Doriath troops. This is actually not the worst engagement for these guys, especially with my cavalry still around in the back, still marauding, still getting nice amounts of kills. Ishbulcraft's Hunters over here came back from routing. I'm going to rout them off with a charge from my more powerful cavalry unit, and then send my less powerful and less useful cavalry unit in to run them down and get as many kills as I possibly can. Nice little rear charge here. Going to hit the Doriath units, going to hit Tolkien Gauthoth just as badly. Those Warriors of Raytheon are definitely going to feel that in the morning. I don't even know whose general that was. The Halidin general, maybe. Hard to say. But that's also a nice thing to have. I believe general kills count for quite a lot in squad resolution, so that's a nice thing to have under our belt at this point. Nice frontal charge here into these Rangers. They are both axe units and skirmishers, so their melee defense is quite low, about 5 or so. I'm going to take that on the chin from my upgraded Scouts of Eglarest. Yeah, they're not going to appreciate that at all. That being said, there are bigger fish to fry for sure. Rangers of Brathambar now going in for a partial surround against some of these victorious Doriath troops here. Donathan Mablung basically had nothing done to them this whole game, and I have nothing that I can shoot, throw, or otherwise use to stymie their inexorable advance. And they're going to get into my Marines of Brathambar, who are having a great time. They're pushing that Doriath infantry off the hill there. We're going to try and go for a cheeky charge there, but he's actually going to see it. And my scouts are going to be pinned between the Donath and some of these advancing Axe Guard, and that's not fun for me. I lose a few of my cavalry there as well. These Scouts of Eglarest pursuing the Rangers into the rear. Now they're just gonna kind of sit here. At this point I was like, I think I've done all I can with this unit. What I need more are melee units who can just kind of hold their ground. And they're going to be here supporting the Seafarers of Brathambar. We're not happy about fighting without their general. The loss of Lord Círdan certainly weighed heavily upon their hearts, and they may begin to flee. Nice little rear charge here into the Axe Guard. Possibility of routing them. Not going to do enough damage there. Didn't really have the momentum on that charge. Over here, though, this is an opportunity for sure.
Good tidings. The enemy general.
It's the Tolan Gauderhoth general then, cut down by Doriath, so he's got a general kill to his name as well. Yeah, and this is going to be a close one. Doing what he can to sort of stymie my my troops here. We move into the final stages of this game. We're going to go ahead, turn it up. Oh, the Tyrion Lystanen going to take a bite out of the Scout Speglerest. And at this point, there's not a whole lot that they can really do. I saw an opportunity here maybe for some rear charges. I'm going to maybe go for it. Yep, we're trying. We're doing our best. But he's going to see it at the last second, turn around. And that's basically going to be the end of my scouts there. They did very well this game, though. And, like, the mess up here. Just this constant three-way battle throughout most of the game, and then that turned into a four-way battle. Sort of. I think the Halidin were already dead by the time Doriath managed to get in here. There go my Seafarers of Brathambar, routed off by a big old blob here of Doriath infantry. This big mailed fist coming to strike down what remains of my my troops still on the battlefield today. Rangers of the Brathambar gonna get attacked in the flank. They're gonna break. And that's gonna be my last unit. So I'm basically going to admit defeat after that. And the Doriathrim are going to snap up what remains of my army and add that to their kill count. So, yeah, interesting game for sure. I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward it because there's nothing really that happens after this point. It's just we're waiting at the timer for the game to end. So I'll see you guys in just a few minutes. And there we are. So we managed to eke out a win here, despite not having the most kills, having only the second highest amount of kills. Belagost looks like he got second, and Stewie and Captain Gervais, who unfortunately ended up getting third and fourth. That was a tough one for Captain Gervais, and for Stewie as well, because of the more like mid-tier nature of a lot of the Halidin infantry, which is what they really leaned heavily on throughout that game. There were some good kills there with the Waltrider Dragoons, or the Chariots rather, which I think is what helped Stewie eke out third place, whereas Rex was mostly stuck fighting like lower-end Orcish infantry that whole game, and Stewie's whole strategy seemed to be built around like more like cost efficiency, like getting good kills with the infantry that he had, while in exchange giving his enemies not really a whole lot. So I think that is something that can work in Squad Resolution. I think you can definitely be a force to be reckoned with as the Orcs in Squad Resolution. If for no other reason than you're denying your enemy a lot of resources, which is super, super important, while also taking them away from them. But it was my cavalry really that kind of saw me to victory in this. If we look at the kills they managed to get there, the lowest of them got 175, Scout Speglerest 326, and then 256 on the other unit. A lot of that is going to be Tolan Gauderhoth infantry, but there are also a lot of Halidin kills mixed in there as well. So I was really happy to see them do well. My Spear Hosts were there mostly as supporting units, so I didn't really expect a whole lot from them. My Marines did very well, and my Seafarers of Brathambar had a tough run of it. They were fighting a lot of high-end infantry, so you know what? I think that they exchanged very, very effectively with sort of the mountainous tasks that I placed before them. My Warriors of Eglarest did okay, and Rangers of Brathambar also did okay, especially for being as cheap as they are. And then the Marines just kind of pooped the bed a little bit. But that was really down to my mismanagement, so they probably could have done better if I'd have actually used them well. But ultimately, in hindsight, it did keep Doriath out of the fight for a long time, and they were my biggest rival in that game. As you saw, they ended up getting second place, so yeah, that was, maybe that was the kind of thing that won the game. I don't know. But in any case, my name is Jordan, also known as JMonster. Hope you guys enjoyed this game, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.